My name is Rafael, you're watching Rock and Roll Garage, and today I'm going to show you 5 bands that the Metallica vocalist and guitarist James Hetfield loved when he was a teenager and still loves. But first, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, and leave your comment. Well, let's start. The first one, ACDC. And it's quite interesting because the first time that James had the chance to watch ACDC live was also his first concert. The first concert he ever went to was Aerosmith with ACDC as the opening act. And the show happened at the Long Beach Arena in California back in 1978. So he had the chance to see ACDC with their classic lineup, which had Bon Scott on vocals, Cliff Williams on bass, Angus Young on lead guitar, Malcolm Young rhythm guitar, and Phil Rudd on drums. I mean, what an amazing concert. And then Aerosmith also on their prime. And obviously he really loves ACDC till this day, all these bands. And more recently in 2023, when ACDC finally came back to the road after about 8 years, they were waiting for Brian to recover, to find a solution for his hearing issues, and they finally had the chance to come back at the Power Trip Festival in Indio, California in 2023. And there's a really nice video that people spotted him watching first ACDC, which was the opening act that night, Judas Priest, I'm sorry, the opening act that night, and then enjoying ACDC's show. I mean, what an amazing band. We all love ACDC. I mean, it's difficult to find someone who doesn't like ACDC. If you don't like ACDC, please leave your comment. Let's talk about it. The second band that he really liked when he was a teenager was Aerosmith. As I said, it was his first concert. He was crazy about Aerosmith. He had the chance to pay tribute to them on the MTV Icon show they used to do, MTV used to do back in 2002. And he gave a really emotional statement saying how much he was influenced by Brad Whitford and Joe Perry and also Steven Tyler, because he said that in his speech that he liked so much Steven on vocals and Brad and Joe Perry playing the guitar that he couldn't decide what he wanted to do, so he became a vocalist and a guitarist. And he said that his mom, she was an artist, and she projected his image onto the wall and painted him as Steven and as Joe in a silhouette. He said this was in his room, and it was something that he really loved, and he obviously saw that painting every day. And another funny story about James and Aerosmith is that he couldn't understand all the words from the lyrics, from the songs. And at the time, obviously, there was no internet and there was no lyrics on the album at the time and that he was hearing. And he decided to send them a letter asking for the lyrics, but they didn't send him the lyrics back, unfortunately. So Aerosmith is the second one. We move to the third one, which is Kiss. And it was another band that really influenced him when he was a kid. I mean, which kid in the 70s that liked rock and roll didn't like Kiss? I mean, that was really unthinkable back then, obviously, as everybody says. They were really the band for the teenagers at the time. And he, at the time in 2009, when Metallica was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, MTV interviewed James and asked him which bands should also be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and etc. And one of the bands he mentioned were Kiss. And thankfully they were finally inducted a few years later, if I'm not mistaken, 2016. And an interesting thing is that Paul Stanley, Kiss's guitarist and vocalist, is a big fan of Metallica. He praised the band many times, and He really even praised them to for their courage of really shifting their sound when they released the Black Album and etc. And an interesting thing is that he said that he first discovered Metallica because the late, incredible Kiss drummer Eric Carr, who passed away in the early 90s, 1991, the same day Freddie Mercury passed away. They both passed away in the same day. And he said that it was Eric Carr who took to the rehearsals and for the trips Metallica's albums, the early Metallica's albums, the really thrash metal albums, and presented them to Paul and the rest of the band. So that's quite interesting. And we move to the fourth one, which is Alice Cooper. You know, how can you not like Alice? It's just a fantastic musician. And obviously over the years, Metallica had the chance to share the bills and festivals with Alice multiple times, and he really liked him as well. And the final one is Ted Eugen, who, you know, it's someone we could expect that James will like because of the guitar playing. I mean, if you analyze Ted's guitar playing, you know, since the Amboy Dukes, he already had that heavy sound for the era, for the 60s. And when the 70s came, I mean, he really turned the key and became really heavy. And I mean, I think he is really one of the most underrated guitarists of all time, regardless of his political views or views on anything. You know, I'm talking about him as a musician. I think he's certainly one of the most underrated guitar players, at least from the United States. I mean, he really is an incredible guitar player. And that's it. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave your comment, tell me if you knew James loved these bands or not. If you want to read more, all the details, go to the description, read the article we wrote about this, and don't forget to visit rockandrollgarage.com. Thank you for watching, and I see you later.